Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining me today. The big question we're looking at is why are salespeople leaving? And to start off, I want to start off with a statistic that'll probably surprise most of you, unless you have worked in sales before. But according to Exactly, the average turnover rate in sales sits right around 35%. That means that more than 1 in 3 reps, are regularly leaving their job. In some industries, it can be higher, but for the most part in sales, it's almost double what we see in other jobs. So we have to ask why. What's going on in the sales environment that makes people burn out, check out, or even just walk away? This isn't just about losing staff, it's about losing progress. Every person who takes knowledge, client relationships, and even momentum with them. And when turnover becomes the norm, you're not managing a team anymore. You're managing chaos. I chose this topic because it's not an abstract problem. It affects real people, including future colleagues I'll be managing or working alongside. It affects the bottom line in very real ways. If we want to reduce sales turnover, we need to move beyond assumptions and start using actual tools, both analytically and emotionally, to understand the causes and build better solutions. The real costs of sales turnover. So let's talk about that 35% turnover rate and what it really means in practice. According to research gathered by SHRM and other business sources like Map My Customers, replacing just one sales rep can cost between 6 to 9 months worth of that person's salary. That doesn't even take into account for the time it takes to train the new rep and get them fully productive. In fast-paced industries, that lag time can mean missed revenue targets, weakened customer trust, and even a burned out team that's covering the gap. Now think about this across an entire department. If you have a sales team of 10 people and you lose 3 people each year, that's potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in recruiting, onboarding, and lost revenue. You're also disrupting internal dynamics. Existing reps may feel stretched too thin, and newer reps may not feel supported. Eventually, even high performers get pulled down by the instability. It becomes a chain reaction, and one that companies don't account for until it's too late. So what's pushing these reps out the door? Turnover doesn't just happen randomly. There are patterns, and usually they fall into 2 buckets. There's the gradual dissatisfaction and sudden disruptions, what Bowles called shocks. Gradual problems include burnout, lack of recognition, feeling micromanaged, or being stuck in a role with no growth. These things build up slowly until a rep quietly starts job hunting. Then there are the shocks, sudden commission changes, a toxic new manager, or even being passed over for a promotion. These events can push even happy employees right out the door. It's not always about the money either. A lot of reps say they'd stay if they just felt appreciated. Something as simple as a consistent recognition system or transparent communication could help prevent these departures. But too often companies only respond after someone quits, because then you're just dealing with the fallout, not the prevention. So burnout and brain drain, the hidden turnover trigger. Burnout doesn't always show up as someone falling apart. It often starts with disengagement, missed emails, lower energy on calls, a general sense of just withdrawal. Research from Lara Musi and Yu Yang explores this idea of cognitive overload and how it connects to employee turnover. They use tools like biometric tracking and AI to detect when these workers are mentally exhausted, and it often happened before it affects their performance metrics. Sales reps are expected to be on all the time, smiling, closing, pitching, and solving problems. That takes an emotional labor, which is invisible but exhausting. If we don't address the emotional side of burnout, we'll keep losing people who are struggling silently. So, matching the job to the mindset. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the psychology of it. Pusio explained that salespeople tend to score high in a cognitive performance test called the implementer. That means they like quick decisions, fast action, and visible results. They get frustrated when their workflow is bogged down, unclear, or slow approval chains. so when a company forces them into rigid systems or micromanages every call they're on, they feel stifled and they leave. The solution isn't to lower the standards. It's to structure the job in a way that lets implementers thrive. That means streamlining decision making, setting clear metrics, and giving them space to take initiative without constant red tape. Moving on, we're going to mapping the mess. Goldritt's path to clarity. When you're dealing with something as complex as sales turnover, it helps to kind of just take a step back and map it out. Goldritt's thinking process gives us a framework on how to do so. We start with a current reality tree to map the negative symptoms, such as burnout, disengagement, resignations. From there, we got to identify the root of the problem, like unclear expectations or poor leadership. Then we move to a future reality tree, and that imagines the ideal situation. And this will show us what needs to change and how to get there. You don't need to be a systems thinker to use this model. Even a basic flowchart can help a team visualize where problems begin and how they connect. This kind of visual problem solving turns overwhelming issues into manageable goals. Engagement isn't optional, it's the fix. When we talk about engagement, it's easy to assume we just mean happy employees or team building exercises, but real engagement goes way deeper than that. And according to research by Naffer and Kumar, employee engagement is one of the strongest predictors of whether someone stays in a role or leaves. In the context of sales, this matters even more. Salespeople face high pressure, constant rejection, and performance-based evaluation. They don't feel supported. It's only a matter of time before they burn out and walk away. Engagement isn't always about feeling seen. It's about knowing your work matters, that your voice is heard, and that your growth is supported. When a sales rep knows their manager genuinely cares about their development and not just their end goal and their quota, they're more likely to stay and try harder and roll up their sleeves and get down to it. That's when you start to see better results, stronger team dynamics, and a more consistent performance. Throughout this research and through an internship experience I've had, one thing that I've learned is even small engagement efforts can make a huge difference. Celebrating the wins, offering personalized coaching, or simply asking for feedback in one-on-ones can make employees feel valued. And when they feel valued, they stay. So the bottom line, engagement isn't optional. It's one of the few things that directly influences both turnover rate, and performance. And the best part is, it's absolutely in all of our control. So, how you share your message matters. Let's shift gears to communication. Saki argues that how we present information affects whether people understand and act on it. When we combine visuals with clear layouts and clean design, our message doesn't just land, it sticks. Sales managers are busy. If we want to make changes, we must present problems and solutions in ways that they'll be able to actually absorb. Incorporating multimodal design isn't just a creative choice, it's a practical one. The brain actually processes visuals 60,000 times faster than text. That means your point hits quicker and lingers longer. So while you all may be looking at my presentation, you're hearing me and there's not many words on it. It's all going together so that you can really let this just stick. So 3 fixes sales leaders can use now to help solve this problem. Let's bring it all together and talk about action. At this point, we've identified the problem, unpacked the reasons behind it, and looked at some tools to analyze it. Now the question is, what can they actually do to start reducing the turnover? The good news, there are real evidence-based strategies you can start using right now. The first fix is early detection. Don't wait until a rep quits to ask, how you doing? Use anonymous pulse surveys, weekly check-ins, or even AI-supported tools that detect disengagement through their behavior patterns. According to Yang, these tools can often flag burnout before it even becomes visible. And that kind of foresight is incredibly powerful. The second fix is job person fit. As Pusio showed us, many salespeople are implementers. They need autonomy. They need quick feedback and space to make decisions. If you're running your team like a command and control system with endless approvals and meetings, you're going to drive those people away. Managers need to create structures that support the cognitive performances of their team. That might mean more flexible scheduling, less micromanaging, or clearer goal setting with faster feedback loops. And finally, the third fix is just communication. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if it's not presented in a clear, engaging way, it won't land. This is where Waisaki's point about multimodal communication becomes so valuable. Use visuals, templates, and story-based communication when announcing new policies or changes. It helps people understand not just what is happening, but why it matters to them. You don't have to fix everything overnight. Start small, try one of these fixes and measure the results. The goal isn't always perfection, it's just progress. And every improvement you make not only lowers turnover, but builds a team that's more motivated, productive, and ready to grow the company. Seeing the problem clearly to solve it smarter. To wrap things up, I want to return to the core message of this entire presentation. High sales turnover isn't just a staffing issue or a business metric. It's a human issue. And that's exactly why solving it requires more than numbers or one-off solutions. It requires a shift in how we think about our people, our systems, and our leadership. Throughout this project, I've learned that turnover is rarely caused by one single thing. Instead, it's the result of patterns, some subtle and some sudden, all building up over time. Some reps burn out slowly, others are pushed by poor leadership, unrealistic targets, or an abrupt policy change. But no matter what the cause, the consequence ripples out. Team morale drops, customer relations suffer, and growth just stalls. This isn't about the doom and gloom. The good news is we can do something. And the solutions don't have to be overwhelming. Tools like Goldrich's thinking process can help clarify what's really going on. Multimodal communication helps present ideas in a way that engages, not overwhelms. And when we understand the psychology of the people we manage, like the implementer mindset, we can build environments where they want to stay, where everyone will want to stay. And it starts with empathy, listening more, checking in before people disengage, supporting performance without micromanaging, designing roles that allow autonomy and clarity, not confusion. None of that requires a fancy budget or a complicated tech stack. It just requires intention. So if there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's that reducing turnovers isn't just possible, it's powerful. For your business, for your people, for the future of what you're trying to build, with the right tools and mindset, we can solve this problem and not just have to react to it. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.